They discovered a shocking prayer by Saint Benedict that destroys enemies and removes evil now. Few knew what truly happened that night in the depths of the ancient monastery. Shadows danced eerily on the stone walls as monks whispered fervently, their voices trembling with urgency. It was a night shrouded in mystery, a night marked by fear, the air thick with an unsettling tension. The monks gathered, eyes wide, as a mysterious scroll was unveiled. Legend spoke of an extraordinary prayer, one that could banish darkness and turn fate in a moment. Rumors flew of enemies vanishing without a trace. Could a simple invocation wield power so profound? In the flickering candlelight, their faces glistened with a mixture of hope and dread. This was a prayer said to be whispered by angels, echoing through the ages from the lips of the patron saint himself. Saint Benedict, the man who had slipped through the veil of the dark, his words holding a secret capable of shaking kingdoms. Beyond the monastery's thick walls, in towns forgotten by time, unexplainable miracles sparked awe. The sick healed, the distressed calmed, and evil forces that plagued the innocent dissolved as if they had never existed. But at what cost? Would the prayer bring salvation, or would it stir something more sinister from the shadows? As tension spiraled, the monks faced a dilemma that chilled their bones. Should they embrace this power or fear it? Each word carried weight, each syllable a choice that could alter the course of their lives forever. A sudden silence wrapped around them, the heartbeat of fear palpable, as they contemplated the potential of a prayer shrouded in secrecy and power. Could they dare to utter it, or would its very essence bring about their own undoing? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As dawn crept over the horizon, casting a soft glow upon the monastery, the monks sat in quiet contemplation. The weight of the previous night's events hovered in the air, a thick fog of uncertainty that obscured their thoughts. Each monk bore the marks of the vigil, eyes heavy-lidded and minds racing with the implications of their newfound knowledge. Father Anton, the eldest among them and keeper of tradition, stood to speak. His voice, though aged and trembling, rang with conviction. Brothers, we are entrusted with a gift, yet it is shrouded in shadows. We must seek wisdom beyond our own understanding. He glanced at the scroll resting on the altar, its ancient script beckoning like an enigma waiting to be unraveled. With a nod, Brother Elias, the youngest monk, ventured forward. But what if this prayer brings forth not just protection, but also vengeance? What if it draws to us forces we cannot control? He glanced around, gauging the fear in his companion's eyes. The silence stretched, heavy with the reverberations of his words. Each monk began to question not just the prayer, but their own hearts. Were they truly prepared to harness such ancient power? Was it theirs to wield, or did it come with an unseen price? We must not forget the stories of old, interjected Sister Miriam, her voice steady and wise. Many who sought power in desperation found only despair. The scriptures offer us clarity. The battle is won not by might, but by surrender to God's will. She gestured toward the window, where a lone bird flew against the backdrop of the rising sun, free yet vulnerable in the vast sky. As the morning light filled the chapel, the monks gathered closer, each one compelled to explore the deeper meaning behind the prayer. They began to share their own fears, illuminating vulnerabilities hidden beneath their robes. Brother Samuel spoke of his childhood, tormented by relentless shadows that had haunted him until the day he found peace in prayer. What if this invocation reopens those wounds? What if it unleashes upon us that which we thought long buried? The murmurs of agreement whirled around the chamber, dawning realization creeping into their hearts. Beneath their devotion lay a foundation of trepidation, a fear of misusing the sacred gift they had uncovered. The scroll felt heavier, laden with the weight of faith and doubt intertwined. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the chapel, extinguishing the candles and sending a chill racing down the spines of the gathered. It was as though the very air around them conspired to challenge their resolve. They looked at one another, fear edged with curiosity. Were they being warned, or was it merely the natural occurrence of a new day? "We must pray," Father Anton commanded. "Let us seek communion, not just among ourselves, but also with God. We must discern our path." Prostrating themselves upon the cold stone floor, the monks raised their voices in prayer, the words blending into a haunting melody that resonated with the walls of the ancient monastery. Each one invoked their spirit's deepest fears and hopes, calling upon the divine for guidance. As tranquility descended once more, a profound stillness enveloped the gathering, and in that silence, a question loomed. Could they truly decipher the intentions of this sacred prayer, or were they merely inviting the shadows to dance at their threshold? Would their collective faith illuminate the truth, or would it cast them deeper into the unknown? As the echoes of their collective prayers faded into the stillness, the light within the chapel seemed to shift. The monks remained in their humble positions, each heart attuned to the unseen currents of the divine. The flickering shadows on the stone walls almost felt alive, moving in rhythm with their whispered supplications. Brother Elias was the first to stir, bolstered by a flicker of courage. What if the scroll reveals something we have never known? What if it speaks not of vengeance, but of a divine justice that transcends our understanding? His voice cracked slightly, betraying the inner turmoil he felt while grappling with his burgeoning hope. "Justice, dear brother?" Sister Miriam interjected gently. "Or is it retribution woven with mercy? We must tread carefully lest we misinterpret the divine will. The very nature of God's justice can be unfathomable to us." Her expression conveyed a mixture of wisdom and worry, as if she had glimpsed the chasms of fate yawning open before them. In the mediation of prayer, Brother Samuel felt a gentle tug upon his spirit, urging him to speak. "Let us not forget the parables of old," he began. "In each story of trials, it was faith that held the power. Jesus showed us that love triumphs over hatred, and forgiveness is a weapon against despair. Is this prayer not perhaps an invitation to embody that love in the face of our fears?" Father Anton, the eldest elder, nodded slowly, the weight of years and knowledge evident in his furrowed brow. "We are at a crossroads, my brothers and sisters. We can interpret this prayer as an armament against our enemies, or we can see it as a call to uphold grace amidst chaos. To wield such power, we must be rendered unshakable in our own souls. Are we willing to face our own darkness rather than fighting it externally?" As the monks contemplated this profound truth, a realization flickered like a candle in the deepening twilight. How often had they sought to banish evil in the world around them, neglecting the shadows that lurked in their own hearts. Suddenly, a deep rumble echoed through their sanctuary, startling them from their reflections. The earth trembled, as if responding to the weight of their discourse and the prayer whose implications were yet to be fully understood. The windows shuddered, causing beams of light to scatter chaotically upon the cold stone floor, creating a web of illuminating patterns. "What thus speaks?" demanded Brother Elias, his voice a mix of fear and wonder. "Is it God's voice in the trembling of the earth, or perhaps a warning that we are treading upon sacred ground?" Sister Miriam, sensing the spiritual gravity of the moment, closed her eyes, steadying her breath. "Whatever it may be, we must listen," she urged. "This power has emerged for a reason. Let us discern our place in this unfolding tale with humility." The monks formed a circle, hands clasped tightly, their hearts synchronized in prayer. The quiet moments passed, but still they felt the earth's rhythm beneath them, guiding their souls into deeper introspection. Was the trembling a divine sign, a call to action, or a testament to their doubts? In this gathering of seekers, amidst the cool touch of vulnerability and uncertainty, they stood on the precipice of revelation. The scroll lay before them, its ancient wisdom promising both peril and protection. But the true question resonated firmly in their minds and hearts. Were they prepared to confront not only the external evil they feared but also the shadows within themselves? Would this prayer truly lead them toward divine justice, or would it unravel the very fabric of their faith? As the trembling subsided, an unusual stillness blanketed the chapel. The monks, still holding fast to one another, felt the residual energy swirl around them like a comforting cloak. It was in this moment of both vulnerability and strength that Brother Samuel, his heart racing with both trepidation and inspiration, spoke with renewed vigor. "Let us open the scroll. It may illuminate our path forward, despite our fears of what lies within its words." With reverence, Father Anton reached for the aged scroll resting upon the altar. The parchment, worn but resilient, seemed to hum with a life of its own as he carefully unfurled it. The light from the flickering candles cast dancing shadows on the delicate text, emphasizing the sacredness of the knowledge they were about to uncover. "Listen closely, dear brothers and sisters," he said, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. He began to read aloud, each syllable reverberating through the hallowed space. "O Lord, grant us the strength to face our adversaries, that they may recognize your glory in our persistence and grace." The words flowed on, a blend of supplication and declaration. As he read, the truths embedded within the prayer began to weave a tapestry of spiritual understanding. Though it raised thoughts of confrontation, each line was threaded with a deeper thread of hope, a hope rooted not in violence, but in the transformative power of faith. "And in their plight may we find compassion, for they are lost without your light." The room felt charged as Father Anton continued. A sense of revelation washed over the monks, mingling with their initial trepidation. Perhaps these prayers were not merely arms of defense against enemies, but also echoes calling them to extend their hearts beyond boundaries established by fear. Sister Miriam, inspired by the flow of the words, found herself pondering the implications of compassion in the face of enmity. "Is it not the case that we fear what we do not understand?" she mused aloud. "Perhaps this prayer invites us to disarm our hearts, to recognize our shared humanity even in those who threaten us. Could our enemies teach us about ourselves?" The murmurs of agreement echoed among the circle, weaving a fabric of contemplation that enveloped them like a gentle breeze. Yet darkness crept into their thoughts, questions flickering like candle flames. Brother Elias, struggling with the paradox of the prayer's intent, asked, "But is it truly within us to extend compassion to those who wish us harm? Are we not betraying ourselves and those we protect by embracing such gentleness?" Father Anton paused, observing the tension between courage and compassion in the eyes of each monk. "This is the essence of divine justice, dear Elias. To understand that the true battle lies not with flesh and blood, but within the spirit of humanity itself. In doing so, we carry out the will of God, though it may seem counterintuitive." As they continued to explore the prayer, a palpable sense of change began to stir in the room. The energy of their shared exploration felt sacred, shifting the weight of their questions into a chrysalis of understanding. Each monk sat cloaked in the shadows of self-doubt, wrestling with the fear that clashed against the call for human connection. Suddenly, the apparatus of nature seemed to reflect their inner turmoil once more, the gusts of wind outside the chapel whispering through the cracks, twining with the sacred text. What wisdom lay hidden within the interplay of love and justice? Was the scroll offering them not only guidance on dealing with the outside world, but also revealing the immeasurable courage required to transcend their own fears? Even amidst encouragement and hope, a profound revelation stilled their hearts. Were they indeed ready to grace their adversaries with compassion, or would fear and hatred prove more potent than divine love? As the flickering shadows danced across the chapel walls, a heavy silence settled among the monks. The potent energy of discussion lingered, each brother and sister frozen in contemplation, wrestling with the profound implications of their newfound understanding. The prayer's echoes seemed to resonate within the very stones of the chapel. Father Anton, feeling the weight of their shared silence, took a breath and continued. Let us not forget, dear friends, that the purpose of this prayer does not seek to reduce our enemies to mere adversaries. Instead, it yearns for a deeper reconciliation, a healing of wounds that we may not even fully comprehend. Sister Miriam, still caught in reflection, leaned closer. What if the challenge lies not in our inability to find compassion, but in our unwillingness to understand the stories woven into our enemies' lives? Can we not learn to hold space for their narratives while nourishing our own? The flickering candlelight seemed to reflect the dawning clarity in their eyes. Each monk began to share vulnerable thoughts, peeling back layers of fear and uncertainty. Brother Samuel raised his hand slowly, as if weighty thoughts were still taking form. It strikes me, dear brethren, that our enemies, too, often live in fear, emotional prisons built on past wounds. If we can reach them through understanding, might we find peace rather than conflict? The room buzzed with a gentle hum of agreement. Dialogues began to spark, igniting ideas of compassion that felt both revolutionary and daunting. Yet beneath the liberating realization lay a current of uncertainty, like an undercurrent in a river that threatened to pull them away from the shores of love and understanding. What if, Brother Elias ventured, our enemies see our compassion not as strength, but as weakness? In this time of struggle, how do we balance the vulnerability of openness with the necessity of protecting ourselves and our community? The question hung heavily in the air, a playful breeze touching upon a raw truth. Perhaps that is a question of faith, dear Elias, Father Anton responded gently, his voice now a soft anchor. To be vulnerable is indeed to tread on sacred ground. We are called to face fears, both within ourselves and in the world around us. The scroll leads us to a paradox where our strength is not in resistance, but in openness. The monks absorbed the wisdom wrapped in his words, recognizing that true strength may not always manifest as fierce defiance. Instead, it could dwell in the soul's ability to embrace others, even when surrounded by conflict. Suddenly, a gust of wind bore down upon the chapel, rattling the windows as if nature itself sought to engage in their deliberation. The candles quivered, casting erratic shadows upon the scroll that still lay unfurled. A parable from the past echoed through Sister Miriam's heart, one taught by their ancestors, a tale of David and Goliath. David's armor was not wrought from metal but woven of faith, driven by love for his people even amid the greatest threat. Isn't that what the scroll implores us to do? She whispered, almost to herself. To understand that our greatest weapon might be the grace we extend, even to those who stand against us. As their minds settled upon this burgeoning insight, the air thickened with the weight of possibility. What if their enemies, once seen through a lens of understanding, held within them the key to uncovering their own paths to grace? Could acts of compassion redefine their very existence, reshaping the narrative not only for themselves, but for the world beyond the chapel walls? Yet amidst this stirring of hope and understanding, an unsettling thought lingered. What if their readiness to embrace love was tested in ways they could not foresee? What tremors awaited them on the horizon? Would this prayer reveal the transformative power of divine understanding, or would it prove to be a challenge far greater than they anticipated? As they pondered, the question remains, in seeking reconciliation through compassion, could they truly navigate the intricate dance between love and justice without losing themselves? As the wind subsided, leaving a stillness in its wake, the monks turned their attention back to the scroll that lay before them. The delicate parchment seemed to shimmer, as if teasing the secrets held within. Father Anton reverently gestured to the script, urging them to seek even deeper layers of meaning entwined in the words. Let us read the prayer aloud together, he suggested, his voice imbued with an urgency. May the divine guide our understanding. The community gathered closer, their voices merging into a humble chorus. Each word flowed, echoing throughout the chapel, weaving an energetic tapestry. As they recited, the essence of humility and love intertwined with each syllable, touching hearts and igniting reflections on the fragility of human connection. When they finished, silence enveloped them once more. The illumination from the candles flickered gently, and Brother Samuel broke the quiet, his brow furrowed in contemplation. "There is an underlying current in this prayer that I cannot shake," he admitted softly. "It speaks to us of destruction, and yet it frames that destruction within the bounds of divine love. Does the act of expelling evil truly align with our understanding of compassion?" Brother Elias, his eyes fixed upon the floor, nodded slowly. "To dismantle evil is to challenge the very nature of our being," he reflected. "Are we then, in our quest for peace, summoned to face the darkness dwelling not only outside but also within ourselves? Could our fiercest battles be against our own shadows?" Sister Miriam felt a stirring within her spirit, sensing the profound depth of their discussions. Perhaps, she hesitated, the challenge is in recognizing that our enemies are a reflection of our own internal conflicts. What if the evil we seek to confront in others is merely a mirror, revealing the fears and prejudices we hold inside? The monks paused, considering her words. The thought hung suspended, challenging them to confront the very essence of hypocrisy that might dwell in their hearts. Father Anton focused on the glimmer of doubt threading through their conversation. "We are called to be both healers and warriors," he reminded gently. "It is not a contradiction. Might our prayer forge the strength to confront the evil in the world while illuminating the compassion that exists even in the shadows?" With shared resolve, they delved deeper into the night's unsettling essence, grappling with the duality of their calling. What would their prayer cost them? What burdens might they unearth in their quest for grace? The more they contemplated, the more they recognized a vast ocean of uncertainty beneath the surface of their understanding. Then, a peculiar sensation reached them. The air seemed to vibrate with significance, as if awaiting a pivotal moment. Sister Miriam looked around as an unusual unease settled in. She felt an impending challenge looming beyond their cloistered sanctuary. What if our willingness to embrace compassion will set forth forces we are not prepared to confront? She ventured. Are we ready to walk into the unknown, amidst the promise of transformation? Father Anton, sensing the profound nature of this transition, spoke softly but with steel resolve. Our faith calls for trust in God's greater plan. If we are to glean strength from compassion, we must also bear witness to our own vulnerabilities. There will be trials ahead, testing the very foundations of our love. As discussions waned into a contemplative silence, the monks were left with the heaviness of this truth. The question remained palpable in the atmosphere. When will the reconciliation begin, and what flames of understanding must they endure to truly witness the power of the prayer they had uncovered? As dawn broke, spilling its gentle light into the chapel, the atmosphere inside felt charged with potential. The monks lingered over their meal, the usual sounds of clattering bowls and low conversation overshadowed by the weight of their previous night's revelations. The flickering candlelight now revealed unspoken anxieties on each of their faces. This prayer, Brother Samuel began, scratching his beard thoughtfully, it speaks not only against evil, but also calls forth a transformation within us. What if its true power lies in our readiness to seek the divine even in the darkest corners of existence? His voice trembled slightly, echoing the deep struggle within their hearts. Sister Miriam placed her hand over her heart, feeling the rhythmic pulse of unease. But do we not risk fanning the flames of our burdens? Could invoking this prayer also awaken forces we cannot control? Her worries manifested vividly in her mind, casting shadows over her sense of purpose. Father Anton, in an effort to guide the discourse, suggested, perhaps these fears are meant to be understood, not shunned. The scripture speaks of confronting darkness, yes, but also of surrendering and trusting. What if embracing this prayer opens a pathway toward unexpected grace? His eyes glimmered with hope, tempered by prudence. In that intimate nook of their sanctuary, they felt a stirring spirit factor into the texture of their communion. The urgency within them was palpable, like a coiling vine of fate seeking to entwine their souls in profound understanding. Could this prayer be the key not only to defeating evil but to confronting the shadows within their hearts, the very fears that threatened their collective faith? As the sunlight streamed through stained glass, hues of red and blue danced upon the stone floor, echoing the flickering struggles within them. Father Anton finally spoke again, this time with a deeper intensity. We must not forget our forebears, who faced similar tumult. The ancients spoke of the trials of existence as sacred passages, each touch of darkness allowing the light of wisdom to flourish. How might our prayer be an ode to that journey? Brother Elias raised his gaze, determination etched into his brow. If we are to wield this prayer as a weapon against evil, we must first confront our own illusions of strength. Can we find solace in vulnerability, allowing it to guide our actions? Might that be where true power resides? Near the open window, a light breeze whispered through, as if the universe was itself in conversation with them. It was then that Sister Miriam stood, her spirit igniting with passion. Let us not allow fear to dictate the rhythm of our hearts. If we embody this prayer, we must cultivate courage in the face of uncertainty. It seems that the act of destruction, as written, is but a flourish of forced confrontation with the elements that disrupt peace. She paused, her voice softening. What if embracing discomfort leads us to deeper communion with one another and ultimately, with God? The monks fell into a reverent silence, contemplating the magnitude of her words, feeling the gravity of the path laid before them. They understood that to engage with the essence of the prayer was to embark on a pilgrimage not only outward but deeply inward. But as they prepared to unite their intentions in prayer once more, an undeniable question lingered in the air, setting their spirits aflame with uncertainty. In our pursuit to wield such a powerful prayer, what unforeseen consequences might we invite into our lives? And are we genuinely ready to face the full measure of what lies ahead? The dawn began its ascent, illuminating the sacred chapel where the monks had gathered. The atmosphere buzzed with an unspoken tension, a reverberation of the decisions that lay ahead. Sunbeams filtered through the stained glass, casting kaleidoscopic patterns on the stone floor, a silent reflection of the inner turmoil within their hearts. Father Anton called the group to attention. My brothers and sisters, he addressed them solemnly, we stand on the threshold of something profound. The essence of our gathering today is not merely to recite a prayer. It is to recognize the transformative spirit that yearns for expression within us. What if we view our fears not as enemies, but as catalysts for growth? The others nodded, sensing the weight of his insight. Sister Miriam stepped forward, emboldened. Then, shall we explore the depths of this prayer together? What if peeling back the layers of our vulnerabilities unveils the roots of our very doubts? Could that not reveal the true nature of the darkness we face? Brother Elias chimed in, and what of the spirits we are tasked to confront? Do they not dwell within the fabric of our fears? As we invoke Saint Benedict's prayer, we invite a challenge, a reckoning with our own shadows. But are we prepared for the confrontation that this implies? Their dialogue hung in the air, stirring a sense of urgency within each monk. The essence of the prayer they were to engage was ancient, carrying with it the promise of divine intervention against the evils that plagued their community. Yet, the realization dawned upon them that in confronting these external evils, they might also expose the inner turmoil that had lain dormant. What if, Brother Samuel interjected, almost hesitantly, the very act of invoking this prayer will bring forth not only external struggles but also force us to contend with the very nature of our faith? Might it unravel the threads of comfort we knit so carefully around our daily lives? A heavy silence followed his words, and each monk pondered the possibility of facing not just the darkness beyond but within. Father Anton took a breath, his heart stoking the flames of conviction. In our history, Scripture recounts the journey of many prophets who faced their own crisis of faith. They, too, confronted the depths of despair before emerging into divine light. Perhaps, in embracing this prayer, we echo their pathos, seek not only protection from evil, but also a deeper understanding of how these trials mold us. Sister Miriam placed her hand over her heart again, feeling the weight of the moment. If the prayer becomes not merely a shield but a sword, we must wield it with love. Shall we then allow our vulnerabilities to guide our engagement? What if embracing this path strengthens our connection to one another and to God, even as we wrestle with despair? Their eyes met, a solemn pact forming within their community. They sensed the underlying truth, that their call was not merely to externalize the fight against evil, but to engage with the internal crucibles that awaited them. It was a bewildering notion, fraught with uncertainty, yet pulsing with the vibrancy of possibility. As they recited the prayer together, their voices soaring in harmony, they felt the flickering spirit of hope begin to weave through their souls. Each word resonated against the stone walls, a call to action beyond their fears, crafting a shared destiny rooted in vulnerability and strength. In the aftermath of their invocation, an undeniable tension hung in the air, a question intertwined with the rhythm of their breaths. As we awaken the sacred potential of this prayer, what depths of darkness within us might we have to traverse? And will we find the light we seek amid such turmoil? As the last echoes of their prayer faded, the monks held their breath, sensing the shift in the atmosphere around them. Moments passed, yet it felt as if eternity had draped its mantle over their gathering. The very fabric of the chapel seemed to hum with an unseen energy, a tangible presence that both beckoned and warned. Father Anton slowly opened his eyes, the weight of his heart pressing against the quietude. "This moment," he murmured, "this palpable stillness suggests we stand at a threshold far greater than we imagined. What if this prayer has unlocked something that was dormant not just in us individually, but within our community as a whole?" With a subtle shift, the heavy wooden doors at the back of the chapel creaked open, allowing a gust of cool air to flow through the hall. The atmosphere changed. A tension unfurled, as if a guardian spirit had stirred from slumber. The sunlight brightened, and shadows danced across the walls, creating a mesmerizing tapestry. Sister Miriam stepped back, her heart racing. "Do you feel that?" she whispered, a tone of awe mingled with trepidation in her voice. "It is as though the very air has thickened, as if it bears witness to our invocation." Brother Elias clenched his fists, uncertainty knotting his brow. "This can only mean one thing," he breathed. "We have awakened more than just the defense we seek against evil. We have drawn forth the very essence of what we fear. As if in response to his words, the room grew colder, and as shadows seemed to ripple across the walls. The stained glass glimmered eerily, and the colors morphed into foreboding shapes, winged figures, hidden faces, and fleeting glimpses of sorrow. "Brother, we may be faced with a trial that transcends our understanding," Brother Samuel cautioned. "In healing the community, we may also disturb the ghosts that have lingered due to our neglect, those aspects of ourselves long buried." Father Anton nodded solemnly, aware of the unfolding complexity. "Perhaps the true essence of our prayer, and the hope it offers, lies in acknowledging that confrontation is essential. We may discover that the darkness we face is not foreign to us, but intertwined with our shared story." The monks formed a circle, hands trembling but resolute as they readied themselves to face whatever had been summoned forth. The very act of unity served as a shield against despair. Yet, a question still hung in the air. Could they embrace both the light of faith and the shadows of fear simultaneously? As they held their breath, their collective gaze turned toward the altar. An unexpected shimmering flicker manifested above the holy relics of vision that seemed to crystallize something ominous yet significant. "What is that?" Sister Miriam gasped, straining to comprehend what lay before them. "I feel it urging us to look deeper," Father Anton answered softly, his gaze unwavering. This is a moment of reckoning, not merely with forces we cannot see, but with hearts that have yet to awaken. But even as the awe-inspiring light lingered, a tension crackled in response. The monks could not shake the emerging fear of the unknown, mingled with a hope that perhaps something greater awaited them just beyond their grasp. In that moment, a question untangled itself from their thoughts, echoing through the stillness. What must we confront within ourselves to emerge untouched by the darkness we now face? As the flickering light began to pulse above the altar, illuminating the shadows lurking at the edges of their perceptions, the monks felt a growing urgency grasping at their hearts. They stood before the veiled mysteries of existence, caught between the light of divine promise and the darkness of their own innermost fears. Father Anton, acutely aware of the potent moment before them, closed his eyes in quiet reflection, centering himself in prayer. "May our spirits be guided by love and humility," he whispered, as if seeking the strength to confront the unfolding reality. In that hushed atmosphere, Brother Elias, clutching his hands tightly, spoke up. "If we're to face whatever this light reveals, then we must remember, the true battle is against the shadows within ourselves." His voice bore an intensity that resonated through the chapel, awakening a shared understanding among the monks. Are we truly prepared to delve into the darkness that flickers within us, the doubts we've carried for so long? Sister Miriam stepped forward, determination shining in her eyes. "Yes. We invoke this prayer not simply as a barrier against evil, but as a conduit for transformation. Each of us holds within a narrative woven with fears and dreams. What if this unfolding vision beckons us to excavate those buried stories?" Her spirit stirred, her conviction growing as she spoke, igniting kindred flames in her companions. As the pulsating light expanded, vivid images floated before Thema's swirling vision, granting glimpses of their past struggles and heartaches. Shadows etched in sorrow loomed, depicting each monk's deep-seated conflicts. Brother Samuel's quiet despair, Brother Elias's battles with anger, Father Anton's burdens of expectation, and Sister Miriam's forgotten dreams. The anguish they had buried manifested, resembling specters that whispered demands for acknowledgement. Suddenly, the visions coalesced into a single Charya figure formed from shadows, embodying each unacknowledged fear they had long avoided. "Do not flee from what you have dismissed," the being seemed to convey, its voice echoing in their souls like rolling thunder. "Face me, and you will discover not only your greatest fears, but also your profoundest strengths." Realization washed over the monks. They understood now that this shadow was not an enemy to be vanquished, but a part of themselves yearning for release through understanding and acceptance. They felt the power of the prayer they had shared resonate, drawing them toward an unexpected revelation. The path to banishing darkness lay not in resistance, but in embracing vulnerability. "Together, brothers and sisters," Father Anton urged, his voice a guiding beacon. "Let us stand united, confronting this darkness not with weapons of might, but with the love of our shared understanding." The monks formed a tight circle, clasping hands as they conjured their collective faith, intertwining their vulnerable spirits into a unified force of compassion. Courage began to swell in their hearts as they recited the profound prayer aloud, their voices blending into a symphony of intent. "O Lord, grant us the strength to face our adversaries, that they may recognize your glory in our persistence and grace." Each word rang out with growing authority, urging the shadows to relent, transforming fear into a canvas of hope. The shadows before them quivered at the sound of their harmony, revealing once more the glimmer of light hiding beneath. "In acknowledging me, you shall know yourselves," the figure intoned, its presence softening. With each repetition of their prayer, the force of their collective vulnerability chipped away at the darkness, uncovering brilliancy, a reflection of their true selves that was radiant and whole. As the cycle of darkness began to dissolve, another unexpected layer emerged, the realization that within their struggles and fears lay the seeds of their strength and resilience. The burdens they feared were not weights to carry, but rather lessons that had forged their character, illuminating the depth of their faith. The figure shimmered and dissolved into golden light, illuminating their sanctuary with warmth. An overwhelming sensation washed over the monks. A palpable embrace of divine love enveloped them, radiating through their once tormented spirits. In that moment, understanding bloomed. Healing was not only possible but necessary, both for themselves and for the communities they served. They were not merely stewards of the prayer, but harbingers of profound transformation, capable of weaving love into the very fabric of existence around them. Tears of joy and relief streamed down Brother Samuel's face as he whispered, "We have faced the darkness and emerged not scattered but whole." The others nodded, hearts swelling with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. No longer did they view the enemies of the world as mere figures of malice, but as reflections of their own struggles. They would carry forth the spirit of understanding and compassion, dedicated to healing not just their hearts, but the hearts of all they encountered. As the sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating their newfound strength, each monk felt empowered to share the gift of reconciliation. The prayer was a declaration of courage and connection rather than destruction. United by this profound understanding, they vowed to live the essence of the prayer daily, transforming their monastery into a haven of love that would ripple across the shadows of the world. And so, with an unwavering commitment to embody both compassion and strength, the monks of the ancient monastery emerged as beacons of hope, driven by a collective revelation. The true battle against evil begins within. Embracing both light and darkness grants rise to an inclusive journey towards understanding, healing, and ultimately transforming not just themselves, but the world around them. The echoes of their courageous hearts would resound through the ages, inspiring generations to break through the barriers of fear and emerge into a landscape of grace and love. Each carried within their hearts the potent knowledge that in the depths of shadows and sunlight alike lay the invitation to live fully, invite the divine into their souls, and embrace the sacred realm of humanity. The power of their commitment would resonate far beyond their monastery, an everlasting testament to the strength of love in the face of despair. And as they ventured into the world, each monk bore the weight of that timeless truth, that healing begins, always, with an open heart.